Hello to viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Science Thursday, we're going to talk about radiation shielding. So let's dive deep into it. So what exactly is this? Now you cannot understand radiation shielding unless you understand the radiation itself. So let's dive deep into it. Radiation is just a format of energy that is carried by either two modes. First mode is electromagnetic radiation, for example, your light bulbs and all that jazz, radio waves, Wi-Fi, all that. Then you have nuclear radiation. Now, nuclear radiation also has one component that is naughty, but most of the times is particle radiation. So these are the two carrier format. Now, one thing you must ask, okay, these are carrier of energy. Where is the energy coming from? Well, if you're talking about some big energy, that is like either fission or fusion, it's coming from E equal to mc square. So Einstein, thank you Einstein for that. And then you have some other source, for example, X-ray in your dentist office or whatever have you, that is coming from brainstorm radiation or breaking radiation. What is this puppy? This puppy is like electron. If you dump a lot of energy into electron, which it can be done simply because it's a charged particle, you can really amp it up. Like you can like, go bro, you go. You can make electron really, really fast, and what we call electron gun, so to say. So you have a target, you have ludicrously high power electron, you create a potential difference, ludicrously high potential difference, electron just goes bam. Now here's the deal. What happens when the electron actually collides? It creates a paradox. It's like, what the hell to do? Now, how the heck it actually stops? It stops because there is positive charge particles in the nucleus. So what will it do? That's positive is like literally trying to attract it. So what will it do? It tries to Tokyo drift it. Now Tokyo drifting means it's Tokyo drifting and energy is not conserved. It has to dump the energy. It dumps using basically photons. Now these photons, again, if tuning is done properly, would be X-ray. That's how we get dental X-rays. So breaking radiation, and this is another reason why fusion plant does not work. It's like we are like, what if we heat the plasma? You heat the plasma, every time plasma is turning, basically electron in that system is like, it dumps the energy. It dumps the energy using X-rays or gamma rays. So yeah, it cools down because of photon output. So these are the three primary sources. Now there might be other sources also, and then you can also generate by electricity. So these are how we get our energy into the radiation. Then you have to understand there are two major categories, specifically in electromagnetic waves. One is non-ionizing, another is ionizing. Now this is what we call photons, is an energy carrying packet. This is a packet, that packet has energy. So at ionizing level, it simply means the packet has enough oomph on itself, like one photon packet has enough oomph that it can cause harm. So we classify that as ionizing radiation. Anything that's starting to cross ultraviolet, meaning if you are in ultraviolet, you already know about skin damage, but you start to go into X-ray, that's brutal damage, go into gamma rays, you're dead kind of damage. So these are ionizing radiation. Another vector is, whenever you're talking about radiation, it's two vector component. You're not only talking about, oh, photons, you're talking about also how many photons. For example, 10 photons of X-ray versus billion trillion photons of radio waves. Radio waves is going to cause more damage to you. Like, you think of it this way, a microwave is non-ionizing, but then why the heck microwave can cook something? Because it's pumping so much of it. So photon packet, basically one packet of photon does not have too much energy. However, you are pumping billions of it, it starts to have thing, you know. It's basically how water can cut through stone. If you have enough water flowing, each water molecule itself does not do much. But if you have gigaliters of it flowing, yeah, it's going to cause some serious damage. Same thing. So you have ionizing and non-ionizing. And how does these energy, you know, propagate in the universe? Like, what is the fall off? Fall off utilizes what we call inverse square law. So meaning, let's say you just detected a random satellite that just fell in front of you, and you figured it out, this is a radioactive puppy. What is the best way? Run as far as you can, distance. Because of inverse square law, the radiation will fall off. Even if it has high energy radiation coming out of it, if you increase your distance, it will drop. You increase your distance again, it will drop exponentially. So you basically only need to run maybe 100 meters or 200 meters, it starts to go down drastically, no matter how high density it would be. So this is what we are talking about when we are talking about radiation. So there are two energy carriers. One, you have actual particles, another is photons. So let's start with the basic one. So basic one is alpha. Now alpha is a particle radiation, meaning it's stuff. It's not an energy packet, it's stuff. So stuff is helium nucleus. If you remember anything from school, you know helium has basically 4 stuff in the nucleus, and there is 2 proton and 2 neutrons, so 4 stuff. Now when this puppy is ejected, it's generally positively charged. Now the moment I said positively charged, that should also tell you that means it's not carrying the electron cloud around it, so it's not neutral, it's charged particle. So basically uranium, it got divorced, so it has thorium and helium. Now helium is just the nucleus, it's not carrying the electrons, thus you no longer have the charged neutralization of core and the outer shell. So it's a charged particle. Now this puppy is brutal for health, meaning if it gets inside you, it's gonna destroy you. It's not something lightweight, it's not something to haha about it. It's like, it's brutal, like very, very, very brutal. However, because of its design, its nature, it's a charged particle. What are we made out of? And it'll go into microscopic level. What are we made out of? We are actually made out of electron cloud. What are electron cloud? Charged. So charge and charge interacts. Consequence, it interacts. Benefit, it interacts. What is the consequence? Consequence means it dumps all the energy. All the energy that this puppy has gets dumped very quickly. So it dumps a ludicrous amount of energy. That's why it's very brutal for biology. But because it interacts so easily, it gets stopped very easily. For example, if there is an alpha emitter here, can I be surviving here? Yes. How? Because my skin has an armor. That armor is dead skin. So helium particles is gonna go bam, and it's gonna annihilate the cell on a molecular level. Like it's gonna take the cell and it's gonna like boom it. But here's the problem. That's just dead cell. It's already boomed. It's pre-boomed cells. So it does not make any difference. Our internal structure is like, we good, we got this. However, if somebody is bad enough or somebody is unlucky enough and this puppy becomes airborne, meaning if you are talking about some dust that is radioactive and it's an alpha emitter and you inhale the dust, yeah, hope nobody figures out how to do that, because it is beyond a brutal way to go. Like it's just like, no, it's just no. And many things to that. For like a radium, it's gonna get divorced and it's gonna dump basically helium, and radon will come out on the other end. Then you can take plutonium and that's gonna dump in like a very long amount of time, and then it's gonna give you basically uranium and helium, alpha particles basically. So this is a very critical aspect. The charge nature does make it easy to stop, meaning you can stop with almost anything. You can put basically a paper, it stops it. Aluminum foil stops it. Dead skin cells, it stops it. That's the good part. Bad part, it shall not enter you. Like if it enters inside you, no. So it's a big particle, charged particle, so it can be managed quite effectively as long as it does not enter inside of you. So alpha is just like you contain it exactly how you contain any other gas. It's not that difficult. Then we come to beta. Now beta is electron himself. We talked about nucleus. Basically majority of it is like, proton and neutron, and because there is no neutralization of electron, is just positively charged. Here, what if only electron just got divorced? So you have beta emission. Now beta emission has this weird puppy that is known as, it has both charges, positive or negative. Now like, wait a minute, how the heck electron could have positive charge? Yeah, it's the same thing whenever we are talking about the creation of the universe. We talk about like there was matter and antimatter. Same thing here. So what is this positive electron? Is just what we call positron. Now positron is basically same mass as electron. Basically it behaves if it has exact same mass as electron, but charge is invert of it. So basically it's mirror image of that. So that does create an issue where if you are building something, like let's say this is a stuff, it's going to contain something radioactive. You have to study it very thoroughly, because it means things can devolve into other things. For example, carbon-14, if it emits basically beta negative, it will become nitrogen-14. Okay, you got that. Carbon-10, if it does beta positive, it becomes boron-10. And both elements are carbon. So you have to understand this is very complex, so to say. Of course, there is a mathematical probability. What would be the probability of electron? What would be the probability of positron? But you can calculate it out. So it's a very weird thing. However, it's easy to stop because again, it's a charged particle, easy to stop. And it's useful to us because it's electron. And you were like, wait a minute, it seems to use something of like this. Yeah, electron. We use it in our electricity. So electron, you have electron source. What if we use it? Well, that's how we created beta voltaics or forever cells or nuclear cells or nuclear diamond cells. That's what we are talking about whenever we are talking about something like that. So if it's a cell that can work for very long duration, like ludicrously long duration, like 10,000 years, 5,000 years, or even 50 years, it's generally we are having a source that is emitting beta particles. So beta particles in this scenario simply means electron. And you were like, wait a minute, how do you convert electron into electricity? Exactly how you convert photons from sunlight into electricity, using a semiconductor bridge. Basically n-type and p-type. Of course, it's a bit different, but you get the point. Core principle remains the same. So solid state, you can have a solid state battery that has no moving part, and it's going to keep creating energy forever, basically. So, or minimum, the lowest one is also rated for 24 years. So like, why don't we use it everywhere? Well, we do where we need to, but these things have very low oomph, and conversion efficiency is also not very high. So in principle, if we ever in future, let's say you want to write a science fiction, write like somebody figured out how to make a beta voltaics 80% efficient or 90% efficient, damn, you can have planes without fuel, but nobody has figured it out, it's yet. So that is beta voltaic, and it has the same rule as basically alpha. Now it has less dangerous than that, but because it has deeper penetration, it can penetrate from you from outside. For example, if there is a beta emitter here, it will penetrate inside my skin. Now it will not go too deep, it's not gamma, it cannot just like bam, but it will cross the dead skin layer, meaning it can give me the lovely gift of skin cancer, or even organ damage if it's like exposed to a lightly armored part of my body. So if it gets inside, the same thing, dust or something like that, you're dead. And it can go through dead skin, and we do utilize it. There was a boom in early 50s of making these batteries into pacemakers and other things also, but because of regulation, because of mismanagement, we lost that technology. It's no longer done, which is really unfortunate, because now we have really high energy efficiency electronics. So beta voltaics can now actually power something. And somebody is short, like, what if we had, especially for children who has to get hearing implants in cochlear inside in hearing implant, if it was beta voltaic powered, that means they do not have to worry about it. Like, you put it, you don't worry about it unless something bad happens. Like, you don't have to worry about it. That would be awesome. But unfortunately, we are not there yet. Regulations, and of course, the regulations are well-deserved regulation, because earlier one actually used heavy radiation, and while that itself was not the issue, people forgot that after your relative died, you're supposed to retain the, return the pacemaker, not cremate it. And yes, I'm not joking, somebody did cremate a person who had a radioactive pacemaker. And that's why we no longer have good things. So beta voltaic is a thing. Now you can buy these sort of beta voltaics, and there are some projects if you want to use it. And it's also used in IT industry for security reasons, because again, this allows them to run a clock absolutely reliably, meaning there's a clock that has internal power that will never run out as long as the system is in service. That could be 20 years, and you can be damn sure every timestamp is untamperable, because there will be an internal clock, and if outside stamps does not match, it will trigger a safety shutdown. So beta voltaics are here. Beta is awesome because again, it has a weird outputs of positron or electron. So this is the beta part. Thankfully, because of the charge nature and its electron, we can stop it. Then we come to the naughty puppy, that is gamma. Now it is the shortest known wavelength of electromagnetic radiation. Now can there be something more? Absolutely, of course. It's like mathematical thing. If we detect this, what if you amplify it by 10? But this is like the normal known in known universe kind of thing. Even though gamma ray burst is still only goes to gamma. So this puppy has highest penetrating power simply because it's photons, it's energy packet. It's not a particle, it's a packet. This puppy goes through it, meaning if there is a gamma source here, it goes through me. Like, there is nothing in my body that can stop it. It won't be like, oh, dead skin cell, I got this. It won't be like alpha virus, like only tissue that is closer to my skin will get damaged. No, no, no. It's like I don't even exist. From its vantage point, it can just go through it. It does interact. The good news is it does interact with electron shell, but does not interact very strongly. So you need a lot of material to stop it. And it's, again, very brutal for health and very painful death also. And this puppy has this weird thing where it does not transition things very quickly. So you will have excited nucleus and gamma photons will come out. The nucleus will remain exactly the same. Of course, only for a certain time. If you have like very long half-lives, that's what's happening. It will change over time. But this is the whole point. That's how chemistry describes it. You have excited and chilled. That's all that you have. And this is, whenever you see this sort of logos, can people handle alpha sources? Yes. Can people handle beta sources? Bit more complex, but it can be handled. Gamma? No. No. Gamma, the moment you are touching gamma radiation, it has to be taken care of it very seriously, like very, very seriously. These things are no joke. And stopping it is, be mindful, the outer sun, you can still detect gamma. Of course, it's so low, it will be at like background rate, but still gamma photons. Meaning if you have something like this and it's just over, strewn about, over time it will cause damage to people. So this is something that has to be taken care of very seriously. You need very thick shielding. You need freaking large amount of lead or tungsten or uranium. Yes, you can use uranium to stop something like that. So you can create a shielding around it. You need thick armor for this. This is gamma radiation. Alpha, beta, you can stop with like good tinfoil, like how satellites are stop, take care of themselves. Basically, if they have radioactive source, they will have foils, multiple foils of different elements. So electron clouds react very interestingly way, and that creates very lightweight shielding, and it stops very high energy radiation. Gamma radiation, yeah, no. Gamma just like lol. Gamma just lols through it. Then we come to the daddy of all, neutron. So far, we are talking about something that is manageable, painful, but manageable. Now we are talking about neutrons. Let me put it this way, from neutron's vantage point, it's in vacuum. Like you can have neutron in a pressurized water reactor, and from neutron's point of view, it's in a vacuum, raw vacuum, like nothing is there around it. Because neutron only interacts with the nucleus of atom, and if you know anything about atom, you know atom is mostly empty space. It's just a huge electron cloud and very tiny spot at the center, which is nucleus. So you need to have ludicrously large, as in like meters of thick concrete or polymers or lead to stop it, simply because from its vantage point, when nucleus is basically neutron is traveling, unless it hits a nucleus, it will not stop. It will just, like electron cloud is like, what is this electron cloud? I don't even notice it. Why it does not run? It has no charge. It's neither positive nor negative. There is no charge to it. So it's like chill pill. It just goes through it. It's like a giga chat. It's like just goes through things. So from its vantage point, even if you are like, what if in a deep ocean, like bro, it can actually cross whole of the ocean. So electron cloud does not exist from its point of view. On top of that itself makes it brutal. That means you have to have ludicrously thick shielding. But it also has the extra love effect of that it makes other things radioactive, meaning it causes what we call neutron activation, meaning you start with normal basic pitch water, that is plutonium. Basically you have one proton inside. That's a basic, you don't worry too much about it. Now you put it in Chernobyl, you're just cooling the reactor and all that. Now that over time, it will not happen day one turn on it becomes, but over time you will end up with deuterium. Basically now you have proton and a neutron. Okay, not so bad yet, but here's the deal. Now you are only one neutron away from one neutron getting inside and making tritium. Welcome to the world of tritium, which is a very powerful beta emitter, meaning now this puppy is radioactive. If this liquid, that is like your normal reactor liquid, leaks into the ambient environment, it will cause harm. And because this is water, it can evaporate, it can go into other stuff, rain into other places, and it will contaminate places that are so brutal that you just hope that it dilutes it so much that it's not an issue. But if it's not diluted, it's brutal. And be mindful, what happens to water? You drink it, you evaporate, your nose, it can go inside your body. So this is the brutal part of what we call neutron. It makes other things radioactive, and that's just the hydrogen part. Be mindful, it can also make nitrogen radioactive, oxygen radioactive, carbon radioactive. Almost, to be frank, almost everything in the periodic table, it can brute force into either breaking apart or making it the goddamn radioactive. It's like, it's that powerful, it's brutal. The only thing that can handle it is hydrogen. Now, and be mindful, hydrogen has to pay a price to be able to handle it. So how do we handle it? Well, that's why reactors generally use water. We have figured out how to use sodium, but because of the neutron effect of basically neutron management of water, we are just like, hey, let's just use that. Because be mindful, from neutron's point of view, whole world is raw vacuum. It will just randomly get, hit by a nucleus, only then it will stop. So hydrogen is best at slowing down. So we generally use water. What is the other best option? Polymers. Why polymers? Hydrogen is the primary component of a polymer, hydrocarbon. So you can utilize polymer also as a very good shield. So these are the main player of Chernobyl. Whenever you're talking about alpha, beta, gamma, the moment you touch neutron, yeah, this becomes exponentially more difficult. Till alpha, beta, gamma, it's manageable. The moment you touch a neutron, it's not manageable anymore. The moment, and this is another reason why many nuclear power plants, they do not have one direct loop reactor. and turbine loop. That's not how it's done. There is a loop, then there is a secondary loop. The primary reason for that, while this does become radioactive tritium, basically the water that is circulating in the reactor will become radioactive, it does not have the ability to create another water that is radioactive. So as long as your heat exchanger is not leaking, you will not have radiation leak into the outside environment. So you'll have one radioactive loop, which you'll make sure that your water should not ever leak out. And another thing, that would be a normal water. And if you ever paid attention to basically ITER plants or plants that are trying to do fusion, they also have a reactor building and a giant building next to it, just a very giant building next to it. What is that giant building next to it? It's designed for handling tritium. So yeah, this is one of those things that one must understand. Neutron is brutal. The only way to stop it is to have so much atoms from it to open space that it will hit a nucleus. You need to start at 1 meter. You need to start at 1 meter and very high density material, very high density concrete, a lot of polymers, a lot of water. You have to start with 1 meter. You do not go below that. You have to start with 1 meter, or you just have like something even denser that has probability of stopping it. So that's Neutron. Now, if you want more detailed deep dive into it, I will make a part 2 of it. So this was my presentation on radiation shielding. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.